And we are live. What's going on, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube Live? It is your man, Coach Rowe. Today is Wednesday. I'd like to welcome you to the first row. And if it is Wednesday, you should know what that means. It's time for the Wednesday word. That's Wednesday word. Jumping straight into it. Tonight's topic is guiding light. As always, I like to share what I mean by my topic. So, what do I mean by the topic guiding light? So, before I even get into what I mean by my topic, let me tell you tonight's Wednesday word is going to be a little bit different. Normally, I'm tool focused, and I'm still tool focused in this Wednesday word, but it's just going to be a little bit of a different vibe. We'll get into that as we go into the Wednesday word. However, what do I mean by the guiding light? Really, what I mean by the guiding light is how in life we have the ability to choose focal points that we can actually gravitate to. It's almost like when you're driving on the road and you're driving straight, but if you look over to like the sidewalk or over to the side of the road, you start to pull the car to the side of the road. You gravitate to the side of the road, not because that's where you want to go, but that's because that's where your focus is. Your attention is no longer on driving straight. And for myself, when I was writing this particular Wednesday word, the guiding light, what I was referring to is a practice that I do every single year. Every year, I choose a word that acts as my guiding light. That word is literally it's one word. It can be about anything, anywhere I want to go. What's going on, brother Bruce? Anything that I want to do, but it is my guiding light for the year. This year, my word was thriving. Again, for me, it has to be one word. Doesn't have to be for you, but we'll get into that also a little bit later. Um, but by choosing this guiding light, thriving for my word for this year, um, I assumed that I would be focused and my focal point was thriving, that I would thrive. However, I thrived beyond my own expectations of where I was going to thrive. I far exceeded my expectations of what I thought thriving was going to be for this year and went to a whole nother plane. And so tonight, what I really want to do is not just share tools with you, but share the criteria that I use for determining my own personal annual guiding light and how that guiding light has really benefited me, my family, and those around me over the course of this year. So let's jump straight into it. They're still going to be called tools for the first row, but let's jump into this criteria. So the very first tool or criteria that I came up with in how I select my guiding light is embrace the word. And it would seem like this is almost like putting the horse before the carriage. How are you going to embrace the word if you don't know what the word is? But really, what I'm saying is listen to the resonance that words have with you. So like if you're in an argument, think about when you were maybe a teenager and your parents told you to do something, or you're in an argument with your parents and you probably didn't grow up in the household that I grew up in because I couldn't get away with saying this, but you see on TV where the teenager's like, I hate you, and they slammed the door. I couldn't do that in the household I grew up with. I'd wake up in the hospital somewhere and be like, the next thing I'd say would be you because I didn't finish the word after hate. But let's use that analogy as far as embracing the word. When you're in the moment, there are words that resonate with you. When you're in moments of love, there's words that resonate you. When you're in moments of anger, there's words that resonate with you. When you're in moments of compassion, when you're in moments of passion, there's words that resonate with you. And really embracing the word is about creating the gravity necessary that yeah, I guess that was what I would use is creating the gravity necessary so that that word has resonance with you. So there's resonance and there's dissonance. When you are resonating with something, you are in a sense entangling yourself with it more deeply. When you have dissonance, you are separating yourself from it. So if you imagine you have these two things, yourself, where you want to go, and you have this word that you're going to use as your guiding light. If you are in dissonance with that word, it almost operates like magnets when you face the same poles of a magnet towards each other. They don't click together like magnets typically do. They actually resist it, and they're trying to push apart from each other. And so, the reason why embracing the word is important is because you want the opposites to attract. You want the place that you are now and the place that you want to be to attract to each other. So the place that you are now, if it's the exact same thing as where you are right now, and you're like, well, my focal point is going to be at where I'm at right now, embracing a guiding light, you don't have to embrace a guiding light to where you are right now because you are already there. This is really about growth. And so when we're embracing that word, what it does is again, it entwines us or builds that resonance necessary so that when things get rough in the year, when things get rough in the day, when things get rough in life, because this is what happens overall over the course of any given year, you have the ability to fall back and embrace where it is that you want to go, regardless of where you are right now. It's almost like a fail safe to help pick yourself up every time you get knocked down. I got knocked down, but if I have this little rope here that I kind of pull up, help myself get back up to, then it's a lot less effort that I have to expend in order to get back up. Hey, what's going on, casual? And so the other thing about embracing the word is, I'm sorry, embracing the word that you're choosing as your guiding light is that it almost acts as a compass would act if you were lost. If you know that the town that you want to head to is north, because we'll use north because that's where compasses typically will get you to. But if you know the town you want to head to is north, and you have a guiding light, even in the moment where maybe you've fallen down and you haven't gotten back up yet, or you haven't even fallen down, you just started walking in the wrong direction. You have that word that says, man, is this decision that I'm making, is this really leading me towards the place that I said I wanted to be at the beginning of the year? And that doesn't mean that where we want to be at the beginning of the year doesn't have the ability to change. But I tell you, when I tell you, for me, when it comes to my guiding light for the year, I stick to my guiding light. Even when things didn't feel like they were thriving, I stuck to my guiding light, and I can see the impact and the outcome that I've experienced because of it. So this is the first criteria or the first tool that I use when it comes to establishing my guiding light. And as you guys always know, I try to pick the very first tool that I share, or the first criteria in this case that I'm sharing. I always try to pick the most impactful. And it's funny because to embrace a word before you even know what it is really about seeking out the frequency that word is emitting to you. Is that something that you want to draw to? Is that something that you want to strive for? Is that something that you see? Is that a direction that you see yourself going in? So embracing the word was the very first criteria that I recognize when it comes to establishing my guiding light or my word for the year. Tool number two, or criteria number two, when it comes to the guiding light, is choose a meaningful and impactful word. This is why embracing was before what word you choose. Because if you can't embrace the word, it's not going to be very meaningful and impactful. But the reason I say choose a meaningful and impactful word is because this exercise that I do annually, or this, maybe now I guess I could call it a tradition that I do annually, is not about creating gimmicks. I'm not trying to come up with the latest and greatest gimmick or something that, oh, buy now, try this now, do it now. Like, I'm not trying to come up with something witty. I'm not trying to come up with something that is catchy or trendy or popular with the masses. I'm truly trying to pick something that is operating on the frequency that I want to operate or operate in. And the fortunate thing about this is if you choose your word that's a meaningful word and it's an impactful word, by the end of the year, if you've been truly using that as your guiding light, you'll be able to look back over just the 1 year time period, 365 days, and see all the instances that have occurred or all the events that have occurred in your life that begin to line up with that word, that begin to line up with that impact. That's what the impact is. The impact truly with the word is the results that it leaves behind. And so for me, I think about all the things that I was able to accomplish this year. And even in the face of difficult situations, still able to accomplish and overcome these things because my overall focus was not on the events or the heartaches or the pain or the frustration. My focus was on thriving, and the results of thriving Don't care if there's struggle. Don't care if there's adversity. Doesn't care if there's struggle. Doesn't care if there's adversity. Doesn't care if there's obstacles that you have to overcome in order to do it. The intent and the impact behind thriving is that irregardless of the circumstances, we thrive. We are going to thrive. And so the choosing a meaningful, impactful word is really important, but it's not there's going to be an abundance of words that come to you, but it's almost like I can only imagine, because I haven't done this ever, but I can only imagine if you go to like a pet shop and you want to buy a puppy or a kitty or whatever, you want to buy a pet. um, it's almost like seeing hundreds of puppies, but there's that one puppy that stands out to you, and you know that that is the puppy for you. That's what choosing a meaningful and impactful word feels like. It's, man, there's all these words in the English vocabulary. There's all these words in every language that you can pull from. However, when you land on that word that is designed for you, that is the guiding light that speaks to you, all of a sudden you can sense the difference, that the impact and the difference in the meaning of that word as it relates to your life and as it relates to the journey of where you want to go. So choosing a meaningful and impactful word is almost as important as embracing the word. But if you can't embrace the word, then it doesn't matter how impactful or meaningful the word may be to others. It needs to be meaningful and impactful to you. So once you embrace the word, choosing that meaningful, impactful word literally comes right behind it in your lineup. If you're looking at a lineup of words, okay, what words are speaking to me? There's times where I'll go to actually choose my word for the year, and I'll have like 4 or 5 words that I have to kind of lay out. And sometimes, just so you're aware, I don't always have my word for the year or my guiding light for the year on January 1. This year, thriving came, I think, on January 11th. It was like thriving. That's what we're doing this year. We're thriving in every area. We're thriving. And so January 11th started my guiding light for 2022. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, there's this timeline and I got to get it done. Shoot, if your year, you could do it like companies do. They have fiscal years. Sometimes the year starts in July. Whatever your fiscal year is, whatever you want it to be, but just do 365 days. So that way, when you look back over the course of a year, you can see where that word got you. And sometimes what you may learn, especially if you're new to this, you might learn that the word you chose was not very meaningful or it wasn't very impactful to what you already had going on. So maybe what you did is you selected a word that was low hanging fruit. If you're selecting low hanging fruit, you're probably going to get low hanging fruit results. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes a win in the course of a year is being able to sustain the current level that you're at. I think about not just how far the first row has come, not just how far Wednesday Word has come, but there were times where it was like, yo, I don't even know if I have the bandwidth to do this anymore. And here we are, I want to say 7 years, maybe 8 years later. I don't know. I've kind of lost count. But here we are years and years later. And there have been moments where I've had to take that low hanging fruit and say, we're just going to stick to the format of the show and just do the format of the show. Then there's other moments where I've branched off and said, I'm going to engage a little differently. I'm going to enhance here. I'm going to enhance there. That is because I'm choosing higher hanging fruit, which requires me to grow or me to get the tools, whether it be a ladder, metaphorically speaking. I hope you see what I did there. But whether it be a ladder or otherwise, to help ascend me to the height that I need to get to acquire the fruit. So that's tool number 2. Choose a meaningful and impactful word. And then tool number 3 is really about, again, the fashion show or the popularity contest that some people get into. Limit yourself to one word. Now, this is not a hard rule, but for my criteria, this is a hard rule. When I'm establishing my own personal guiding light, I limit myself to one word. I don't know if you guys know this, but words come in abundance to me in regards to how many words come in a day, how many words come in a thought, how many words come in a minute. So because they come in such abundance, this really hyper focuses me on this exercise of being intentional. Being intentional drives that impactfulness. Being intentional allows me to say, okay, I really want to find the word that defines the experience that I'm seeking to have. It's easy to write a bunch of words. Well, this year I want to do things that are like this and that and la 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 la, and then it's going to show me this way and that way. It's easy to add a bunch of fluff to a guiding light, but in my experience, when you add so much fluff to the guiding light gets dimmed, and it's a little harder to see in those moments when you're struggling to get to the destination that that light is supposed to be guiding you to. Well, thriving as long as there's no problems. In all things, I'm going to thrive. And then it's like, well, I didn't thrive in everything, but I did thrive in some things. No, thriving, thriving. And then the fortunate thing about about this guiding light is you're not defining what that looks like in the beginning. You're reflecting on what it looks like after you've utilized the guiding light. Limit yourself to one word is really about moving out of the cliches, in it to win it, or God did it, or stay prayed up. I don't care what it is. It's moving out of the cliches and moving into intentionality behind the things that you want to attract into your life, the things that you want to add to your life. And I don't mean things by material things or physical things. I mean the attributes, the characteristics, the integrity, the tenacity, and the tenacious ability to just pursue relentlessly the true desires that you have in your heart. That's what tool number 3 is about. Limit yourself to one word. It's not a hard criteria, but if you can limit yourself to one word, that guiding light becomes laser focus on exactly where you need to go, exactly what you need to be doing, exactly where you need to be. So by the time you're at the end of it, you can look back and say, oh, that's what that word meant. Not, this is what this word means to me, and this is how I'm going to do it. It's not that kind of exercise. This is not the proactive approach, which I'm normally big on being proactive. This is not a proactive approach. This is about making the investment to follow the light, follow the focus, follow the destination that you say you're attempting to achieve, or in characteristics and actions and attributes, and then seeing what that yields you. And then the wonderful thing is, if it doesn't yield you what you want, because you can now look back at it and say, you know what, me choosing thriving as a word, I didn't really thrive much this year. Now you can look back at it and say, well, was I really following my guiding light? Or was that not the guiding light that I thought it was going to be? And I need to choose something that's more meaningful and impactful. So that's what I have for you guys tonight on the Wednesday Word. Really quick, going over the 3 criteria, i.e., tools for the first row, in regards to the guiding light. Tool number 1, again, being embrace the word. The purpose is to create gravity, to create relationship, to create resonance with the word. The only way you're going to be able to do that is if you pick a word, or are engaged with the word, or maybe I would even use the word enamored with the word, to the extent that it is always on your mind and it's always resonating with you. Tool number 2 is choose a meaningful and impactful word. In short, the word should hit you in the feels. If the word doesn't hit you in the feels, it's going to be very difficult for that word to resonate with you, to guide you when you're going through adversity. It has to be able to hit you in a way that's meaningful and impactful in order for it to pull you out of those moments where you might find yourself in a slump throughout the year. And then tool number 3, or criteria number 3, is limit yourself to one word. This again forces you to be intentional about your selection, which also increases, I forgot to say this, but it also increases the gravitational pull that that word has on you, because you're choosing one thing out of millions of words, one out of a million. That's what this Wednesday word really is about. Now, always, with the Wednesday word, I do like to share a personal story, something that really got me thinking about this. And this is an exercise that I do at the end of every single year. And it does take me probably like a month and some change to figure out which word that I want to use going into the next year. I have a word in mind that I might use this year, but we're just kind of seeing how that feels, and we're filling it out right now. So I will tell you, come season 3 for the Wednesday word next year, I will share what my guiding light word is for the year. I won't share, obviously, the criteria because you can always watch this video, but the guiding light word that I do select next year, I will share with the Wednesday Word, our first row audience. But what got me thinking about this was the reflection part of the guiding light of this year. Again, my word this year was thriving. And I'm able to, even in November, look back at all the things that I did over the course of this year, but not just the course of this year, the things that I've done back over the course of the 5 years that I've actually been located in Utah. And the biggest, I I thought, I should say, that the biggest thriving point I would hit would be the release of my book. That was a major milestone for me to release Fire Your Job, Hire Your Passion. Major milestone. But that was just the surface. That was literally just the surface of what thriving meant. In this year, I've done things like improved my credit score back to where it should have been, where it fell off from a long time ago. It took a long time to improve my credit score, but improved my credit score to the point where now it's like, all right, I got a credit score where I could actually go out and get something if I want to, but I don't want to go and get anything, fortunately. I've improved my finances. I was able to look at like how much money that I've been saving, and the objectives. One of the things that my wife and I sit down and do every year is we set out our financial goals, like what our financial strategy will be for the year. And I was looking at the goals that we had set for 2022, and it's like not only did we hit goals, it was like we also hit goals that we didn't even set. It was just like we made a decision to save an X amount of money, and then all of a sudden more money came in. And instead of spending that money, it was like, okay, well, let's save this money. And now I'm kind of like in this space of thriving with my finances to where it's like I'm choosing to actually spend some resources for a change instead of save them, where normally my gut has been like, yo, save it, save it, save it. Okay, you could spend some money here, all right, save it, save it. Now I'm in a space where it's like, okay, well, my life is not just to save money, so I'm gonna have to spend some money at some point. And one of the things that really I got to experience last week, for her birthday and for the Thanksgiving weekend with our sons, was to actually just go out and do a family event and spend some money on the family, where normally it's like, we don't need to spend that kind of money to do that. It was like, no, let's go out and have a good time. Let's have some fun. Let's just enjoy ourselves. And at the end of the day, that's what money is. It's a tool, not for pleasure, but it's a tool. It's a resource that we can utilize as we see fit. But being able to thrive in that aspect, be able to thrive in relationships. This is another area that I'm looking back on and seeing the growth in the people who have either been in my life for a long time or coming back into my life at this point, or newly introduced to my life. Seeing the growth in the relationship that we're having together, but also seeing their wins. Because please believe, when I have a word that's my guiding light, I have no problem sharing that with my inner circle, with my tribe. So next year, you guys are going to have access to what my guiding light is. But with my personal tribe, I share that pretty much every year. Like, this is what I'm doing this year. This is how I believe I'm going to do it. Here's my guiding light. And then the last part is like a holistically, I don't even know how to say this correctly, but like a holistic experience of thriving, where again, not just the book. I thought the book was like, oh yeah, the book, man, got the book out, thriving, doing something that I don't remember anybody in my immediate circle doing. My brother has, but something that my immediate circle out in California had done before. And moving to a space where it was like, oh, that was just the surface. Seeing things like the Wednesday Word grow, seeing the viewership grow, seeing new shows coming, having ideas for new shows actually already for next year. So there's going to be some new segments that you will see on the Wednesday Word. Hint, hint, some of it will be in regards to finances, because that is a journey that I have gone through. And now that I've been focused on this guiding light, or guiding light of thriving, there's some things that I've learned from that journey and that I want to share with other people, because I believe that a lot of us think our financial situation, hardships, I should say, are exclusive to us, and they are not. They are absolutely not. However, our ability to overcome, pull ourselves out of the hole, and excel beyond our greatest imaginations, that is also not exclusive to just us. It's available to everyone, all of us. It's just a matter of the right disciplines and choices that we have to begin to make. So that's really what got me thinking about this. It was something that I wanted to share just to close out the remainder of this year, season 2, with the Wednesday word for the first row. Is about that guiding light. It's really important. It's really important. Some people call it the law of attraction. Some people just call it there's a book I read called The Purpose Driven Life. Um, but really, it's about creating gravity around the experience that you want to be pulled to, not even knowing the path to get there. Creating that gravity so that it pulls you to it versus you having to try to push and pull and jump and duck and dodge and dive to get to the experience. Simply create gravity around one word that you can focus on for 2023 that will get you to where you want to be, whether that be mentally, relationships, physically, financially, spiritually, whatever that is. Figure out what that one word is and let that be your guiding light. And that's what I will leave you guys with tonight. Tonight, I actually have an exercise that I would like to share. I would like you to engage in is, what will your guiding light be for 2023? Oh, that rhymes. I didn't mean for it to rhyme, so don't get on that cliche hype. But that's really what this is about, is try to figure out over the next couple of weeks what would be a guiding light word for you that you can take into 2023 and then reflect on at the end of 2023 to see what that guiding light has produced in your life as a result. What are the outcomes? So that's what I have for you guys tonight. This is the last Wednesday word of the year. Ta-da! I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I thank you guys for tuning in live. You can always reach me on social media, or you can reach me at firstrow.com. You can still get your copy of Fire Your Job, Hire Your Passion. It's really available everywhere books are sold, but I always recommend getting it from firstrow.com. But you can get it anywhere where books are sold. You can also get it on Kindle and digital platforms as well. But other than that, until the next time, you guys will see me in 2023. Wow. Mama, we made it. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in live. If you like this video, share it. If you share it, like it. I'm always happy to engage with you in the comments. And because I'll be on hiatus, I'll even engage with you in the comments for those who are watching via the replay. I might engage with you beyond the 7-day point, because there won't be any new content to roll out until 2023. So until the next time, one love, peace, and God bless. Thank you, thank you, thank you for an amazing year. And thank you for sitting with me on the first row. Peace.